I will get to answering that question. But first, I'd like to thank Chancellor Jennifer Mnuchin and the senior class officers of the class of 2025 for inviting me to speak. Honestly, I did have to check with my department chair that I wasn't the backup to the backup to the backup option for the commencement speaker, because why would you ask a 23-year-old to come back and be the commencement speaker? It feels strange having the spotlight back on me. I briefly considered beginning this speech, reaching for something profound, like take a second and look around. You're sitting among the people who will shape your memories, your opportunities, and your future stories. Years from now, you won't remember my speech, but you will remember this feeling. If that statement sounds like a load of bull, guess what? It is, because that is the statement that ChatGPT helpfully provided me, complete with a list of 3 items and an M-dash. It's irritating to think that even Gen AI was quick to assume a commencement address is almost always forgettable. I look at that and I use my Wisconsin background, and I think, really, ChatGPT? Challenge accepted. So I've had the chance to check other commencement speeches and found that many begin by reminiscing on their momentous decision to attend UW-Madison. Mine wasn't so momentous, but somehow I had the insight to know that Madison was a much better choice than Minnesota, and I'm still proud of that call. Now, my actual student experience seems too recent to reminisce. After all, it was only 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure I have a former roommate sitting in this audience right now. Of course, I stand here proud to be a Badger, and proud to have spent 4.5 years at UW. Sure, I received an education, but I spent my first year crammed into a triple with 2 random roommates in Smith. We braved the walk to Gordon's every day for food, even in the coldest weather. I remember finding as much free pizza as I could across campus and signing up for dozens of student orgs mailing lists just so I could find that free food. I remember the feeling of the first time I walked into Van Vleck and thinking, I want to spend as little time here as possible. I remember the final I had on a Sunday morning at 7:45 a.m. and contemplating if I could just skip it. Luckily, I did not. I remember religiously buying a grilled cheese every Thursday from Scotty's. I spent some weekends in the middle of a cornfield with the water ski team. I proved I could pound a full Mickey's Scrambler. And I continue to find it funny to say, let's go to the library, after a struggle through a thermodynamics exam. Engineering majors, you get me, right? Now, there's a couple here, glad to hear it. I swam in Lake Mendota and Monona. I contemplated taking CLAP for credit, but ended up not, and I regret it to this day. Now, I couldn't have done any of this if I had went to Minnesota. Now, most of all, what I remember from my experience at UW-Madison is the people, ranging from the professors who were willing to let me work on my senior design project from an airplane while traveling the world as Miss America, all the way to my friends' parents. I'm looking at all of you in this up in the risers, all the way to my friends' parents who would deliver our college house food during finals weeks. I remember the laughter, the tears, the quiet corners of Helen C. White, and the feeling of the stadium shaking during jump around. But mostly, I remember the people from my time. I stand here as a proud Badger who could never have imagined that what those 4.5 years held for me, and for what those years would prepare me for next. Believe me, Miss America was not in the 5-year plan. Heck, I never even planned on becoming a nuclear engineer prior to college. I did it because my dad told me not to, and I was a spiteful 16-year-old girl that said, watch me. That's how it started. Well, Dad, here I am. I may have started this out of spite, but here's where I ended up. It's nice to be back in the place that launched me, and I'll admit, I've lived a crazy string of events since the last time I was here. Miss America 2023, Forbes 30 Under 30 list for energy. I was named the new face of nuclear energy by the Wall Street Journal. I'm even writing my own book. That sounds so adult. Ugh. And I'm helping to design nuclear fuel for the nation's largest fleet of nuclear power plants. It probably sounds like a fairy tale. It sure didn't start out feeling very magical. When I came here at age 17, I didn't have the slightest clue where I was going or whether I was even headed in the right direction. As you look towards your own next chapter, it's okay to feel nervous. I did then, and I still do today, like right now, in fact. You might not be taking the next step towards your own big dream, but you'll figure it out. You'll make your own memories, tackle your own challenges, and you'll have a new dream, possibly a better one even. You might be starting something out of spite, and honestly, that's a perfectly valid reason. In a world where social media romanticizes every decision and every action that we make, it's okay to just live life. You don't need a poetic reason or a fairy tale beginning, but you can make the experience the dream you want to build. Take a look around at what resources you do have and move forward. Make your own fairy tale. This is where I will do the best I can to incite inspiration and share what wisdom I have gained. It's been 2 years since I sat in your seats. I barely understand taxes and healthcare. How am I supposed to give you wisdom? I've never survived in the wilderness against insurmountable odds. I wore a sparkly hat and got an entry-level job after I graduated. However, I have had a few groups of people listen to what I have to say, and it now has given me an inflated ego and a distorted sense of self-importance. Therefore, at the ripe age of 23.7 years old, maybe the best I can do is I will tell you the things not to do in the next few years of your life. The first thing not to do is do not take the state of Wisconsin for granted. Specifically, do not ignore the importance of cheese curds, spotted cow, Milwaukee dill pickles, real cheddar cheese, Quick Trip with a K, and Friday fish fries. Ever since moving to the tropical location of Delaware, these are all I can think of, and I will be stocking up on these things. I specifically drove back to Wisconsin for this so I could ensure that no TSA agent can confiscate my 40 pounds of cheddar when I drive back. Now, the second thing not to do is don't focus on one thing too much. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that life is broader than a single goal. When you concentrate all your energy on one pursuit, whether it's just one job, accomplishment, or identity, you are risking shrinking your world to a single outcome. The moment that outcome shifts, stalls, or disappears, everything feels like it collapses with it. A healthy life needs multiple dimensions: relationships, curiosity, rest, creativity, community, and growth. Having a broad focus builds resilience because you're supported from many directions, not just one. The third thing, and maybe one of the most important, is do not care what others think. Do what you love, fiercely. In a world where trends change in a span of literally hours, why should we bother with trying to keep up and force ourselves to fit in? Why should we want to conform to the society we have and reach success by pretending to be someone we're not? You can reach whatever end goal you have by being yourself at the end of the day. Now, it probably sounds odd to you to have a former Miss America telling you not to care what others think. I mean, Miss America is literally a competition for what some arbitrary judges think makes someone worthy of a sparkly crown and a title. I wish this was a metaphor, but that is literally it, a competition that judges women for who they are and what they do in their pastimes. It's safe to say there were not many nuclear engineers who had competed for Miss America previously, but all it takes is one person to be the first. I strongly believed that if I was going to be selected as Miss America, it would be as nerdy, quirky, weird nuclear engineer Grace, not the red carpet ready and dazzling world peace version of Grace, the real version. I wish I could say I was ecstatic during that crowning moment when I had finally achieved becoming Miss America. But honestly, I was horribly scared. I thought to myself, this is either going to make my career or break it. Who is going to hire a nuclear engineer known for wearing a crown and a sash? Will something about this title mean that I end up with even less credibility? I worried about that for a while. But I also thought, is there some way that I can leverage this opportunity as a way to forge my own path and get my own message out there to more people? What if the crown and the sash can open doors and get me to a podium where I can talk about the ideas that I'm really passionate about, like the ongoing and urgent need for reliable, safe, and clean energy? When I look back on that year, I know I did that year as 100% grace. Not as some forced personality representing some brand with approved scripts, but as the force of a person that I know myself to be. And that is something I am proud of. The fourth thing not to do is do not close yourself off from opportunities. I never thought I would ever write a book. In fact, when I was first asked to write a book a couple of years ago, I fiercely declined and closed myself off from that opportunity. Why would I want to air all of my dirty secrets to the world? Why would I want to share with the world the perfect plan to finally steal one of the terrace chairs? Item 4.5 is do not steal a terrace chair. Get a job and then buy one like a legal, law-abiding citizen, okay? But ultimately, I had someone approach me again if I wanted to write a book. Rather than immediately shutting it down, I had the conversation. This pushed me to realize I do have something to say. In this world that we live in, I want to share with the world that a disgusting amount of optimism is not something to be afraid of. Having hope that the world will get better is worth it, and you can have that hope too. I never thought I'd have the opportunity to write a book, but man, am I learning a lot about myself, just from forcing myself to make sense of who I am in writing. Now, the fifth thing is do not complete the task or assignment if there is a conversation that should be had first. One of the best pieces of advice I'd ever gotten was that a task, a homework assignment, or any other thing can be done at any point in time. But an opportunity for an important conversation can be fleeting. You may never be in that moment again and have those emotions again. Always take the time to have the conversation, whether it's with a new person or someone you know and trust. Thing number 6, because yes, these are things, I'm a nuclear engineer, not a communications specialist. Thing number 6 is do not underestimate yourself. This is likely the hardest item on this list. Oftentimes, when we're worried about trying something new, or we're scared to make new friends in a city, we're stuck in a mentality of waiting to be given permission to do something. Why can't we give ourselves permission? You got here. You made this happen. When somebody asks you to be the commencement speaker at age 23, yes, be in shock a little bit, but do not underestimate yourself and your capabilities. I did not limit myself to being just a nuclear engineer, or just a Miss America, or just a violinist, or just a water skier. I've been all of these things, but I've also been a whole lot more than that. So don't let others label you or define you or limit you. You are about to test the limits of what you are capable of. You're about to be really on your own, making your own good things happen. If you're moving to a new city, you might soon realize how incredibly hard it is to make new friends in a new town where you aren't in a college environment anymore. By the way, nobody talks about that, how hard it is to make friends in a completely new city when you know absolutely nobody. Remember this, it was hard even for me, and I'll talk to just about anybody. You know, everybody just walks by looking at me like, who the heck does she think she is, Miss America? Now, the best thing I did to make friends was get a dog. Everybody wants to pet a puppy, and then they're forced to talk to you. So maybe number 7 is don't try to live your life without a dog, because they'll love you unconditionally. Just carry treats, to be sure. Now, others around you will test your limits. We live in a society that prioritizes me, not so much us. We focus on self-care. We stay in when we need to, but of course, that cuts us off too. We spend our days being fed our passions and cares directly by the algorithms. We are always surrounded by our needs, and frequently that means even our bad ideas can be self-reinforcing. It's important to try to break out of your own little bubble. When someone around you chooses you to spend time with, to have that conversation with, to have that FaceTime for the first time in 12 months since graduation, pick up. Even if it seems tiring, even if it might not always seem right. We live in a world where everybody wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager. I urge all of you today to show up not just for yourself, but for the people you care about too. Do not underestimate your ability to accomplish incredible things, and do not underestimate your ability to show up for people, including yourself. When I think back to sitting at graduation, I remember the feeling of being a little bit scared for what's next, for the change that was about to happen. I wasn't sure if my dreams and ambitions would come true. Some dreams might not. After all, some dreams might just be a really bad idea anyways. But new ones will take its place. Keep those opportunities open. Embrace change. Find comfort in discomfort. I stopped caring what others think of me, and all of a sudden, the discomfort I found in a changing environment became the comfort I found in the woman I am today. You're about to have a lot of unknowns coming your way. How exciting. Be the version of yourself that only you can be. If you meet the world with authenticity and a disgusting amount of optimism in chasing your dreams, there is no limit to the good you can create. Thank you.